So the Kansas City Chiefs are 22-2 in their last 24, and even J-Mac, a hardened journalist, believes it's luck, it's rigged, it's the officials. And so what has always been remarkable to me, and I'm not a snob on this stuff, I just get worn down by fans and friends. It's always the refs. But I'll give you an example. Fans will be tough on the officials. They want perfection, but yet they let their coach and their players off the hook all the time. So let's go to Sunday's game. So let's just go to this Houston game where everybody thought it was the refs. It is 4th and 10. At this moment, it's the biggest possession of the game for the Houston Texans. They are scrambling to get the play in. You think you're going to beat Andy Reid in a bye, and you can't get that buttoned up. But D'Amico Ryans after said, hey, these officials, it was us against the world. Now, Kansas City didn't score on that. Now let's go back to the first quarter. We'll reverse it. Let's go back to the first quarter. Remember, the NFL has instructed its officials, call roughing on plays like this. And at first glance, it looked like roughing. It's not challengeable. So there's that play. And everybody think that is not right. Well, on that play, it did give them a first down. I'll admit that. But on the very next play, Travis Kelce, the best tight end in football for 6-7 years, is for one of 4 times on the day left wide open. You may want to cover him. I mean, Kansas City doesn't have a lethal receiving core. They don't throw to their backs that much. That's the one guy you have to cover. You didn't. He was 70% of the offense. Xavier Worthy's more of a gadget guy. Rashee Rice is out. It's musical chairs at wide receiver. Noah Gray's not beating anybody down the field. You had one guy to cover, and you left him open all game. Let's go back even further to the opening kickoff. You basically gave the Chiefs a 3-0 lead at Arrowhead off a bye. And to make it worse than giving up a 63-yard kick, you had an unsportsmanlike penalty and a player shoving a coach. So you go on the road, you shove a coach, a disastrous special teams performance. You miss 2 field goals, that's 6 points. You miss a PAT, that's 1 point. You give up a field goal in the opening kick because of that nonsense, that's 10 points. You lost by 9. And you also, on several occasions, did not cover the only really Hall of Fame level weapon Kansas City has, old rickety Travis Kelce. And you're blaming the refs on a go either way call with Will Anderson and Patrick Mahomes, which I said yesterday on first glance, I was like, oh, that. And the referees, it's not challengeable. They don't get slow-mo. They don't get a replay. They got to call what they see. So again, you demand that the officials are perfect when they're instructed to make certain calls, and they're not challengeable calls. But you gave up on special teams. You gave up 10 points, and you lost by 9, and that gets glossed over. I've said this to NBA fans, because for years and years, NBA fans were relentless, mostly because the Lakers attracted better players. They had Shaq and Kobe. That's the way it works. And I always said this. Whenever you want to complain as an NBA fan, ask yourself 2 questions. How many free throws did you miss? How many free throws did your team miss? Oh, 9. You can't hit free throws as a professional basketball player. And how many turnovers did you have? And if the combination is like 16 to 18 mistakes, the refs get one occasionally too. All right, so I do not believe in curses, UFOs, ghosts. Yeah, I don't believe any of that stuff. Sorry. But I said this morning to the staff. If Ben Johnson and the Bears don't work, I'm pouring my entire net worth into Bitcoin. I think it's going to work. Now, there are so many things. This is not the Jets. This is not Carolina. This should work, and here's the new guy they hired. It's Ben Johnson, full of energy, full of spirit. He talked yesterday, sharp offensive coach, known for maximizing offensive personnel, and the Bears have weapons. Just left a great culture so he can cherry pick some stuff. He had proximity to a great culture and a rebuild, right? Like he wasn't in a dynasty. he was in a bad franchise that built up from the ground floor. So this is literally, he's taking the job, and he just worked through a 4 and 5 year cycle of what he wants to do. He can steal stuff from there. The Bears have good assets. They have $66 million in cap space. That's top 5. They have a dynamic rookie quarterback who has 4 years. He's basically free. And, oh, by the way, you have 3 picks in the top 41 because you have an extra second. You have interesting weapons. This is not the Panthers' job. This is not the Patriots' job with Gerard Mayo. That's not what this is. So I don't know if Ben Johnson can turn it around. I don't know if he's Bobby Flay or Sean McVay, but he's got a full pantry and a great kitchen. And if you go look, what really is true is that if you just look at the 2 teams that were in worse shape than Chicago, Washington this year, Washington's roster coming into the season is significantly lower PFF than Chicago's that Ben Johnson will get. And he's got 6, 7 draft picks to add and free agents. And Houston was a laughingstock ownership down. And they both gave you blueprints. For instance, Washington fixed the offensive line. Then they brought in smart, savvy veterans. Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, Marcus Mariota. So you don't even have to, if you're Ben Johnson, you don't even have to be original. You can just steal what Washington did. You have a mobile quarterback. Your O-line needs upgrading. Go ahead, sprinkle in a couple savvy veterans. Stir, put it in the oven, let it bake, and it should work. So now, in the first moves, he hired Dennis Allen as a defensive coordinator. I like Dennis Allen as a DC, not a head coach. He's going to bring, reportedly, as the offensive coordinator, the guy, Hank Fraley, that built that offensive line. I like that move. So there's like 8 reasons this should work. You don't even have to be original. Just copy Washington. And I feel like I won't be watching a football team. I'll be watching an exorcism. Can they exercise their quarterback and offensive demons? Because when you look at this is a way better situation than Washington had and a way better situation than Houston had. We hated Houston's roster 2 years ago. And Ben Johnson doesn't even get a rookie. C.J. Stroud was a rookie for D'Amico Ryans. Caleb's already been in the league. So take a deep breath. But people ask me, do you think it'll work? And I'm like, yeah, I think it will work. I think it will work. But this is not. Remember, most people thought if you would have had a younger, more current, richer owner, most people thought this was viewed as the best job available, despite their politics and potholes. So I'm looking at Dennis Allen. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at cap space. I'm looking at, you can use Washington with a mobile quarterback and all new people as an example. They're going to bring the Lions O-line coach to be the OC. Like, this should work. I'm very excited. It should work.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.